بجنفر منستر تمرتي زوبا ماكل زتلالوه ውድድር ክትዕ ብቋንቋ ኢንጊሊዝ ኣብ መንጎ ካልኣይ ደረጃ ኣብያተ ትምህርቲ ኣብ ዝሓለፈ ሰሙናት ተኻይዱ ነይሩ። ጋዜጠኛ ኣሚር ዓሊ ተኸታቲልዎ ኣሎ። ናብቲ መደብ ከስክረኩም።
Speaker Yosan Mergado, please give her a hand.
First, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Yosan Zarigabe from Zara Christian High School. Today, our issue of debate will be to choose which one is the best policy for Eritrea as a developing country, agriculture or mining. First, what is agriculture? Agriculture is the production of food and other essential materials in life using farming and also animal husbandry. Also, we can take fishing. Ever since our long-dead human species wandered around this earth, their first backbone of nutrition were plants. After this long wandering, it took them only careful observation to grasp the fact that one of the seeds of the fruit they were eating can make a lot of fruits by itself. It was then they came up with the great genius idea that served as a ground for the great historical leap in humanity. And this is agriculture. The agriculture which is an invention that helped them to have settled life, to have engaged in other activities like mining and complex activities like commerce and trading. What is agriculture in Eritrea? In Eritrea, agriculture coming from the growing crops highlands and going through crossing the raising animal escarpments and ending your journey into the fishing coastlines, we can easily realize that agriculture is the main key for the economic growth of Eritreans, and it's an inherent component or of contribution to their culture and tradition. So, why are we choosing agriculture than mining? Eritrea as a developing country had more problems, and that it seems so that agriculture is the most key that will solve these problems. First problem, drought. Eritrea, 70% of the Eritrean land is prone to drought. And these cause is war, deforestation, and other improper usage of natural resources. How can we solve this drought? How can we solve this drought? We can solve it by forestation and also having mitigation that can help us in the natural resource regaining. Are we going to take side with agriculture and its trees taking transpiration and giving evaporation and formation of clouds and coming of rainfall and giving us the natural green area that can help us to tackle deforestation? Or are we going to take a side with mining, digging up the soil to be loose and also to have shortage of rainfall and consecutively leading to drought? You choose. The second one is climate change. Our global village, which is the Earth, is facing a very destructive problem and destruction, which is the climate change. Climate change has been done or has been going for more years, and it is escalating and becoming more destructive in nowadays. The kill code and prevention for this climate change nowadays is to use you have to make your environment green, and also make rainfall. You have to have rainfall, and also this can help us to tackle climate change. But are we going to have agriculture, which is another name for the prevention method for climate change, by making our environment green and climate change to stop and global warming to cease? Or are we going to take mining, which are which are emitting gases that are making all the climate change more escalated? 3, migration. Migration is one of the serious problems in Eritrea. Every migrant, when we ask him why he migrated from Eritrea, the most answer we get is joblessness and unemployment. 80% of the Eritrean population depend on agriculture. If it does, why not give them and provide them jobs which they are familiar with? Are they familiar with agriculture or mining? As I've already told you, the 80% depends on agriculture, so it clearly tells us that they're familiar with agriculture. So we have to make and be engaged in agriculture to stop once the migration and be a migration-less country. Fourth, we have many sectors like fishing sector, trading sector, we have the mining sector and agriculture sector. We have to choose the one sector that supports other sectors to boost up and bloom like itself. Agriculture can satisfy this. Agriculture can help tourism to appear. Biodiversity can make its way, and we are going to be very rich in tourism, and there will be more income, and this will be beneficiary. When we come to mining, the real fact in mining is the minerals that we extract. These minerals, they're endangered of erosion and other destructive natural disasters if we have burned lands. So we have to forest our lands in order to be sure of the existence of these minerals, or else our minerals are going to be washed up into other countries. So let's make our way and have agriculture in our side to protect the minerals and have biodiversity, and we also have fishing that can help us for economical growth. Eritrea is importing food from other countries, and it says it is self-reliant in food. So it's false. We have to be self-reliant on food production, and to do this, we must engage in agriculture. Have you ever heard there is insurance of food production by engaging in mining? Even if we engage in mining, we are going to use the money to import others like food and other materials to survive in population. So, in this stage, I urge you to regain what we have lost by being engaged in agriculture. But I want to make it clear, I'm not saying mining is not totally useful for Eritrea. It is, but with its complexness, and it needs more time, more power, and more manpower than agriculture, and we need to be familiar with that. If we say so, we need to engage in agriculture. For the shortage of economy we have, once we have made our agriculture, we can survive this. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any question or suggestion, welcome.
Okay, cheers, mate. That was a really nice presentation.
Thank you.
But I have some doubts. In your presentation, you mentioned that mining has a lot of disadvantages to the environment. Now, let me ask you this. Which one causes more damage to the environment, mining or agriculture? Well, she's definitely wrong, because have you ever thought about the agricultural industries? Have you ever thought where the grains go to after being produced? There's waxing, there's removing the grains, there's agricultural factories that cause pollution. And whenever you want to plant something, you have to cut down forests to plant the sorghum, to plant the wheat, to plant the plants you want to plant. So you're damaging a whole area. But with mining, it's just damaging some area. My specific question was, which one causes more damage? And you said mining. And I'm sure you don't get the point about agriculture industry.
Okay. All of them, all things we do cause something, they have some disadvantages. But what I'm saying is, mining has more disadvantages than agriculture.
Well, let me ask you this. Whenever you go mining, you go into an area where people don't live around. Now, if you dig up that place and take up the minerals, you're not damaging anything or the people around it. But whenever you decide to use agriculture, it's usually near households. Or even if it's not, the factories are in the cities. Because whenever you wax, whenever you remove the
So
grain,
are you saying the uninhabited areas does not count on climate change? Only the inhabited areas count on climate change?
That's definitely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I didn't even mention climate.
Climate change. I'm saying climate change.
Okay, you didn't answer my first question, but let me go to my second question. Okay, in your presentation, you mentioned that farming is a culture, right?
It is inherent part of culture.
I know. Okay, let me get to my question. Now, my question is, do you think the culture is traditional farming or modern farming?
It is. What I'm saying is, it is traditional farming, but we have to engage agriculture like in modern farming. It's not only about farming. There are animal husbandry and there are fishing. So this culture, go to the coastal areas. It's called all of them. All of the areas of Eritrea are engaged in agriculture more as long as humanity started. And I'm saying that it is cultural.
Cheers, mate. But you said traditional farming. Now, if it's as a culture traditional farming, don't you think it would be harder to change every farmer's mindset into modern farming? To train every let me finish, please. To change I let you finish. Now let me make my point.
You're asking me.
I'm trying to respond.
I want specific questions, okay? I want specific question, please.
I already asked her my question. Okay, the question is traditional farming. You said that's what's practiced. Now, don't you think it's hard to explain to every farmer modern farming and to train a farmer that's used to farming by cows, by machines, by tractors? Don't you think that would be harder in order to involve them in every area rather than...
It is more harder to change the mindset of farmers and go to mining.
You don't have to involve the whole population in mining. We're saying the nation needs mining as a primary source for more employment chances.
There will be migration crisis.
Okay, good morning everyone here from top corner to bottom corner, from left to right, from valleys to mountains, from teachers to students to dear judges. My name is Sam Marato and I'm here to strongly support mining over agriculture for Eritrea as a developing country. Now let me get to the definitions first before I get to my points. First, what's mining? Mining means extracting underground minerals for an income. And agriculture means the growth of animals or plants for an income. The same reason, the income. Now we'll get to that, which one makes more, because that's why we're here. For Eritrea as a developing country. Let's not forget that. Now let me get to my points. My first point would have to be resources. Now, when I say resources, what I mean is Eritrea has enough minerals. Eritrea has enough potash, iron, aluminum, copper under its ground. Now, whenever we have those resources, don't you think we should put them to use? Don't you think they shouldn't just be buried under the ground, but rather be extracted, sold, and to make our lives luxurious? Don't you think that should be the case, rather than go in agriculture? Because we've been involved in agriculture for far too long. And if it hasn't been working, then that's a sign that things has to change. Because if something doesn't work, you switch it up, you try something new, see if it works. And not just see if it works, it will work. Because mining is a resourceful and dependable source of income for Eritrea. And it wouldn't just make Eritrea a developing country, but it would make it a developed country. And the resources, as I mentioned, should be used wisely. We shouldn't just waste them under the ground. We should extract them and get something out of them. Now, imagine this. It would be like this. Let's say you have a perfect suit and a watch. Or for the girls, imagine a perfect dress and boots. Now, for men, if you didn't wear that suit and that beautiful watch, if you just kept it in your cupboard and never wore it, would it have a point? Would it have a point? No. And for the ladies, if you didn't wear that dress and your boots, would they have a point? No. Exactly what I'm saying. If they're buried under the ground, would they have a point? That's why we should dig our minerals up and start putting them to use. Because we have them, then what's to be? We have to use them. Because agriculture, we keep depending on agriculture, but Eritrea is actually low on rainfall. It's not one of the countries that benefits from rainfall. And yet we keep on trying to use agriculture. And some might say we have underground water. But why dig out your ground in order to get water, then rather dig it in order to get gold? Don't you see the point? It would be easier. We would make much more money. We would make much more change in a short period of time. Because that's easy. You can see it now. And the second point is low input or low cost. Now, whenever people hear mining, they will be like, mining, oh, that's complex. That would cost a lot of money. But think this, farming has been a culture. And I know you might think that's an advantage for agriculture to continue, but it's actually not. Because we've been farming the old ways. Farmers farm using cows in order to feed themselves and only themselves. That's usually the case. And farmers have been using natural fertilizers, animal dungs, and these are not that effective. Because what farmer farms with cows gets his grains and exports it? No farmer, because you don't make that much by using these kind of farming systems. And in order to change the whole system, we would have to make a lot of change in the agricultural department. We would have to make agricultural extensions. We would have to buy fertilizers or import them from other countries. We would have to buy machineries for every farmer there is in order to be productive. Now, do you think that would be more expensive than just simply rather mining a simple area on a location and getting a lot of money from it? Yes, that would be more expensive because farming takes a lot of money than we think it does. You would have to buy everything for farming. For mining, all you need are the mining engineers, the specialties, and also a company that digs up the minerals. And it's not going to take you as much money as it takes the other people. And you might think employment would have to be a problem here. Because if you're mining under a small area, then there will be small people involved. Well, we're not talking about employment. We're talking about what should be our primary source of economy. What could get us developed, not developing. And if we use mining, it would help every economic sector. We would prosper everywhere. Infrastructures, schools, buildings, economy rises. Then more job opportunities are created. And where did it start? Mining as a primary source of income. Because if we can do that, then everything can be boosted. Because that's the way it should go. And so if it has a little cost, or if it costs less than agriculture, then why waste our money on agriculture, which hasn't been working for the last years? Why not try to change things up? Don't you think? You shouldn't just think, you should believe. Because mining can bring us that change. We can see it now. And not just that, let me tell you this. It also has a higher income, which is my third point. How much money do you get by exporting maize or wheat, and how much money do you get by exporting gold? Which one do you think is more expensive? Which one do you think is more expensive? Exactly. So if we can dig up these minerals, we can get much more money than we can get from exporting agricultural goods. And we can also use it. And you might think, minerals get finished up. What will we do after that? Well, your economy is on the top. Your economy is on the top. You can do anything. China exports minerals. China digs up minerals for other countries at a percentage. And they still do it. So they're using mining as a source of income, even though they don't have it in their country. Now we can get there. We can make it to the top. Qatar, UAE, they have changed over a short period of time. And timing also seems to be a consideration here. Because let me tell you this, we don't just want to build a life for our grandchildren or a life for our grandchildren's kids, but a life that's easy for us. Because we want a luxurious life for us and only us. So we should change it in a short period of time, because that's what I believe. And to conclude, I would like to say mining is the best feature for a brighter future. And mining is the answer for every question that might occur. Mining seems to be the solution for every economical question. So let's dig up and mine our nature for a bigger and brighter future. Thanks for listening to me.
First, I appreciate your presentation. It was really good. My first question is, you have said we have to make our life luxurious, isn't it? Okay. It is, we are in a time that our global Earth is facing climate change, global warming, air pollution. I think you're familiar with the prevention methods. We have to keep our environment green, isn't it? Do you think agriculture keeps our environment green or mining does?
Well, let me tell you this. What's the point of having your environment green and your house blank? Don't you want a life that's easy for you too?
Climate change.
Let me answer.
Okay, the point is to stop.
I know, but to stop climate change, even if you make it green, I'm not saying cut down the trees and mine every ground. That's not my point. What I'm saying is there are minerals in certain areas. Those areas are not that big even, but those small areas give us a higher income than digging up and putting agriculture to use than 10 times that land. You can land miles of land and you wouldn't get as much money as you can get from 1 meter of gold you dig.
Okay, let me tell you. Let's take small amount of land. You said we can mine from a small amount of land and can get a very beneficial money from it, is it? Okay, you have to construct facilities for the mining. Even if it's a small area, you have to construct roads, you have to construct factories for this one. Are you deforesting areas? Eritrea has been a lot deforested. It has been far deforested by war and you're aggravating the situation by mining.
I think we all are missing the point here. What you're talking about, let me answer, please. Once you ask, I get to answer. I think that's the way it works. Okay, now you keep on talking about deforestation, land degradation, pollution. Isn't our point here economy? Isn't that why we mention developing country? Isn't that why we mention economical industries? We're not here to talk about deforestation. We're not here to talk about pollution. We're not here to talk about the environment. We're here to talk about the economy, the land, and the people. So how do you associate this with the people and the money?
We need to exist. We need to exist to think about tomorrow. Yes? Climate change is a big threat.
But what's the point of tomorrow if
we are facing death and you're talking about luxury things? Okay. Eritrea has been importing more food from other countries to be self-reliant on food production. Do you think it must be engaged on mining or agriculture?
The fact that Eritrea has been using agriculture as... Thank you, first of all, for giving me a point. Because you said import. And the fact that you mentioned importing while Eritrea's first economy now is agriculture and it still imports, that just shows you that agriculture won't work in Eritrea. Why do you keep interrupting me?
I have to tell you, I have to keep in track. Okay.
Okay. The fact that she mentioned importing gives me a point because we've been using agriculture as a primary source of income, isn't it? And if we still are importing foods from other countries, then do you think it's been working?
Okay, it's not been working, but we don't use modernized. I am saying, you said let's change up. Yes, we have to change up in agriculture. We didn't use modernized agriculture, systematic agriculture. So what I'm saying is, Eritrea, for a better future, it must be engaged in modern agriculture.
Obviously, you haven't been listening to my presentation because modern agriculture would cost more money.